Hello, I'm Alias, and today I'm going to take you through some of the more advanced card types found in Magic the Gathering to help you gain a better understanding of the game and its mechanics. As you know by now, Magic consists of different types of cards. These include land, creatures, artifacts, enchantments, instants, sorceries, and planeswalkers. A card's type and subtype can be found in the type line above the text box. To quickly recap the card types, land is your source of mana that you use to play spells. Every non-land card in your deck has a mana cost that is paid by tapping your lands accordingly. You will often hear the term converted mana cost, which simply refers to the total mana payable for a card to be cast. Creatures are permanents that attack and block, and the more powerful they are, the higher their converted mana cost. A creature's power and toughness is shown in the bottom right-hand corner of the card. Artifacts are colorless permanents in Magic the Gathering. They come in various forms such as creatures, equipment, and vehicles, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on. Enchantments have persistent effects on the game as long as they remain on the battlefield, either by themselves or attached to another target permanent. Auras are enchantments that require another permanent to attach to, and once that permanent leaves the battlefield, that aura does as well. Instants are non-creature spells that can be played whenever you have priority. This also includes on your opponent's turn, usually in response to something they are doing, or at the end of their turn before your upkeep. Instants enter the graveyard once they resolve and do not remain on the battlefield. Similar to instants, sorceries are non-creature spells that enter the graveyard once they resolve. However, you can only play sorceries during your two main phases and not at any other time. This is referred to as sorcery speed. And finally, planeswalkers, which are some of the most powerful beings found within the multiverse of Magic the Gathering.
Our actions determine the course of history.
Unlike any other permanent, planeswalkers have loyalty counters and 3 abilities that either add or subtract from their total, with the third ability being the most impactful. They are not creatures, so they can't attack or block, but they can be the target of your opponent's attacks. Let's see a planeswalker in action. Here we have Huatli Radiant Champion being cast. Once a planeswalker enters the battlefield, you can immediately activate one of its abilities, adding or subtracting from the loyalty counters. The ability you should pick depends on the board state and what would benefit you most. Unless otherwise stated, you cannot activate a planeswalker's ability more than once per turn.
More than you assume.
As mentioned previously, planeswalkers cannot attack or block, but are vulnerable to your opponent's attacks. If damage is dealt to a planeswalker, its loyalty counters decrease, and it leaves the battlefield when the loyalty counters hit 0. Planeswalkers pose a sizable threat to your opponents, and if left unchecked, you could activate their final ability, which, appropriately, is also called their ultimate. Ultimates usually hurt. A lot. Let's take a look at equipment. Equipment is an artifact subtype that enters the battlefield once you've paid the mana cost shown on the top right of the card. Then, in the text box below the card's description, you will see another mana cost to equip the item to a creature. Unlike aura enchantments, if the equipped creature dies, the equipment remains on the battlefield and can be equipped to another creature. Equipment can also be switched between your creatures at sorcery speed, that is, during your first or second main phase. Vehicles are another subtype of artifacts with an interesting ability known as crew. What this allows you to do is temporarily turn the vehicle into an artifact creature, capable of attacking or blocking until end of turn. As you'll see here, when the vehicle enters the battlefield, it is not yet a creature and occupies the same space that other artifacts or enchantments would. It only becomes a creature once the crew cost has been paid. Unlike equipment, crew costs don't require mana, but instead require you to tap any number of creatures with power equal to or greater than the crew cost. So if a card shows Crew 2, you can tap 2 creatures with 1 power each, or 1 creature with 2 power. You are also able to crew a vehicle at instant speed. Abilities can sometimes be confusing for newer players, especially when it comes to understanding the difference between triggered and activated card abilities. The easiest way to remember which is to look for a colon. If there is no colon in the card's ability text, then it's a triggered ability you're dealing with. Triggered abilities are automatic and occur whenever a specific requirement is met, such as at the beginning of combat on your turn, or when a card enters the battlefield. The keywords to look out for to identify a triggered ability are when, whenever, and at. Activated abilities, on the other hand, require an additional cost to be paid, such as additional mana, paying life, sacrificing a card, or tapping a card. It is important to note that if a card's activated ability requires it to become tapped, you cannot repeat that ability. You are also unable to activate a card's tap ability if it has summoning sickness. There you have it. I hope that this has helped you better understand the different card types in Magic the Gathering. Thank you so much for watching, good luck, and have fun.